Today on the Topping Show, Matt Walsh roasts a Native American who says that they were never conquered and also guns are bad. Vivek joins Trump in court and follows up with a speech. Biden's response to Trump saying China is eating our lunch. A trans activist threatens death if they are mispronounced. Walmart to lay off workers and move others to the headquarters. AMC sells $250 million in stock as meme stocks are back. And Bumble promotes promiscuity with an advertisement that backfires miserably. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. That guy, see their founder released twice a day. Guy says quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Walmart to lay off employees as well as consolidate others to the corporate headquarters. Now, this was brought to us thanks to CNBC, specifically Melissa Repko, who is the specific writer, and she says, quote, Walmart is laying off and relocating hundreds of corporate workers across the country thanks to a leaked memo. Now, they noted that the company is relocating remote workers of those in Dallas, Toronto, and Atlanta offices over to the headquarters, which I was going to say, I want to say that's the only thing in Arkansas. But it's like the only thing people know about Arkansas. I know it's a beautiful place. I mean, I have friends who've lived there throughout the years, and the pictures look like they should be on the cover of National Geographic. But I mean, Bentonville, Arkansas is known for the Walmart family, Walmart and the Waltons family. Now, they know that the discount retailer is currently building a new headquarters in its hometown of Bentonville, Arkansas. And they're also transferring a couple of them over there. Now, this comes after they recently did a stock split to make it more attractive. So if you look at the stock, people wondering, go over here really quick. Why is this big? I mean, it was 100. I mean, in February in 2024, it was $168 per share, and now, granted, by the time this video is rendered and uploaded, it'll fluctuate. But now it's around $59.71 per share. So a lot of people are wondering why did it drop so much? Well, it was just a stock split. So in order to get the price lower down, they just basically said, hey, if you have one share of stock that's worth $160, we're going to give you. Well, I'm not the best at math. That's why I hire accountants. But nevertheless, it's one of those instances where they're going to give you 2 shares of stock for then the price per share would decrease. So the value is still there, but it's one of the things where the volume is now greater, which again, for investors, and especially people, a lot of individual small investors, it just seems a lot more attractive to buy a lower price point stock. That's why most of the larger businesses do stock splits all the time to make it more attractive for people who want to buy more of the stock. So again, the past month, it's been pretty consistent around $60 per share, a couple of highs and lows. But you look at the kind of the 52-week high, 52-week low, it peaked around $61, lowest was $47.66. I was going to say, is there a dividend? I don't think there is a dividend yield. How disappointing. At least I'm not seeing this on this little quick search on the Brave browser here. Which, again, gives a little incentive to hold your stock if you actually buy it. Again, it's not financial advice. A lot of advice I usually give in that regard is invest in yourself, start a new trade or business, and roll the dice. You might be happy and you'll learn a lot. That's guaranteed. Now, they know that Walmart is the nation's largest private employer with 1.6 million employees, most of whom work the stores across the country. Now, again, there's going to be a 350-acre campus that they're building out, which I can say that's... We'll never get to the point, which I know this is partially a joke, but with how much Walmart has been expanding throughout our lifetime, what if eventually the corporate office, the corporate campus is just all of Arkansas? I mean, a business has never gotten that big before. I mean, that... it might be. It'd be kind of funny if that would happen. Interesting. So I'll be interested to see what happens with Walmart. Again, like most companies, they're not infallible. They're having some layoffs as well. And I mean, not to sound cliche, but there's a lot of people in middle management where, I mean, you might not need that individual role. And again, Walmart, they're known for being a price. I mean, it's a lower price point. That's why people go there more often than not, as well as a convenience factor. You want to try to trim as much fat as possible while still maintaining exceptional customer service, or in some cases, adequate customer service. I want to say it's impossible to find someone to unlock the ammo carton or the ammo display at a Walmart, but it's almost like a little side quest. If you go to Walmart, you want to try to buy some ammo, you have to like look around for 15 to 20 minutes for the employee. Say, hey, do you have that key and could I buy some ammo, please? I mean, it's like I treat it as a side quest. If I ever back when I used to buy ammo for them, nowadays, you just buy from a local ammo company that, interesting enough, I did have on my interview podcast, the founder of Southern Defense, which is a pretty good one on Topping Talks. Not to, just a humble brag. It was a little bit of a long interview, but it's fascinating the types of regulations and promotions and all the types of things that go into putting together an ammo reselling company. But I partially digress. My ADHD is a little bit high today. But when it comes to Walmart, again, I think it's going to be a good year for them just because, again, a lot of people are getting more price conscientious. Food is getting more expensive, so fast food is no longer fast, convenient, or cheap. So good alternative is going to be to go to Walmart and buy something that's already made there, or just buy some raw ingredients and make your own. And again, Walmart has everything you have. No one needs to go to a Target. Target's one of the most common luxuries I think people enjoy in America in terms of no one needs to go to a Target. Or a big red flag is they call it Target, which, interesting enough, is not a new thing. They've been doing that for decades. There's their nomenclature or their name. But I think Walmart's going to continue to grow this year. And let me know, are you a regular shopper at Walmart? Do you prefer one of those fancy places like, go to Whole Foods? Like Whole Foods is like pinky high. That's top chart fancy. I mean, that asparagus water is like $13 a bottle, which is actually not a joke. They had a little jug of water they just threw asparagus stock in, charged $13, and then it went viral on social media. They said, "Oh no, that was a mistake. We didn't mean to do that," which I kind of think they did. People in Austin would buy that up, and they did. But let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have AMC to sell $250 million after their stock jumped yet again, thanks to the meme stocks, or the memes. And this also applies to GameStop, thanks to one of the famous investors, I believe it's Kitty. He has a silly social media name, but nevertheless, people started to buy it in droves, and investors lost about $1 to $2 billion in GameStop shorts again. Now, this comes to us thanks to Yoon Lee, who is the reporter at CNBC. And she says, quote, AMC completes $250 million stock sale during meme rally when the shares jumped 30%, which, again, this company needs that money desperately. This is one of the best things to happen to them. Because, again, movie theaters on average, they're not doing great. And the trend of people going to movie theaters isn't being turned around anytime soon. Now, it looks like they sold 72.5 million shares in equity offering in March. It looks like the sale was finalized last Monday during a reviewed meme stock crazed. Oh, yeah, there it is. Thanks to the return of, again, this is the person's social media name, Roaring Kitty. Which, okay. Now, again, the movie theater operators sold 72.5 million shares. Jeez Louise. After it just jumped 32% last week. Looks like now it's down to $5.19. Huh. It is almost comical. Look at the 3-month trend if you're just, you're not seeing the visual on screen, if you're just listening. Let me see, what was it last? Around, what's the price point? Around $3. There we go. Yeah, it's about $2, $2.91, $3. It spiked all the way up to $11.88, which, again, $11 might not sound like a lot, but you have, again, right there, you got 72.1 million shares. That seemingly small, a couple dollar increase adds up to $250 million in the aggregate for them to sell it off. Definitely great news to those companies. They're doing great. GameStop also went up by 60% again. Jeez Louise. Which is another reason I usually don't recommend buying stocks, because who the hell knows what's going to happen. Especially with companies where they might have a lot of short sellers, then you have something that just goes viral. And one of the most ironic things about the GameStop, the stock increasing exponentially a couple years ago, the executives couldn't sell their stock at the peak. Because if you're an executive at those companies, more often than not, you're locked in. You're only allowed to sell during certain specific periods on the calendar year. So a lot of them were just looking at their watch going, come on, stay up, until they can actually sell it at the proper time. Because again, if you're working at the company, there are more rules and stipulations on when you are allowed to trade versus people like you and I are. So it'll be interesting to see what they use this money for. They got some debt paid down, I believe. And it looks like AMC, I mean, there's a lot of speculation. Maybe these companies are going to go out of business this year. It looks like AMC is going to stick around for a little while longer. And I don't know, when's the last time you went there? And I did a customer event last year for John Wick 4 for my tech company. And it was a pretty fun event. We were able to rent out the whole AMC little theater venue. And we got some popcorn, all the cliche stuff. It's a pretty good experience. But let me know, if you have your choice movie theater, which one would you go to and why? Might take me a day or two to get back to you in the comments, just depending on my work allocation, but I always try to do my best to reply in due time. So, as always, I would be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Culture Problem podcast, you have a trans activist threatening death if they are mispronounced or mispronounced. Well, mispronounced. It's one of those things where you type it, and grammatically speaking, let's just say Culture is not updating Word, Microsoft Word, which is fascinating now to think about because Microsoft Word is a very left-wing company in terms of, remember last year they actually started off in a big conference where they said, we want to acknowledge this land was built on Native American soil. And they each went around the table and talked about their pronouns, which I almost thought was hilarious because of insult to injury. They're one of the most profitable companies on the planet and one of the most successful businesses in history. They have not unlimited resource allocation and funding, but darn near seemingly unlimited money. If they want to, they can give that land back. So I thought that was actually funny. It's like, well, you're just acknowledging them, but you're not giving it back. And again, if you really believe that, you have the money where you can just build a new headquarters overnight. And yet they just said, oh yeah, we're just going to acknowledge this was once owned by someone else, which literally describes every piece of land on every piece of the planet. But I partially digress. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Libs of TikTok and, oh geez Louise, well, the person looks, I don't say exactly how you think, but exactly how you think. Now again, Libs of TikTok, she originally said before this little video, she says, quote, which one is it? LGBTQ activist threatens people and suggests she will be violent and use deadly force if you misgender. Trans violence is violence, unquote. Which, in the United States, according to the court system, not really. Because, again, if someone on the right wing or even in the middle did this, they'd be hauled away immediately to the loony bin or the police or the federal, prison. I mean, we live in a day and age where people that were peacefully praying outside of abortion clinic were swatted and arrested. A father had, 6 armed vehicles, police, come to his house, guns drawn, and they took him away from his family because he had the audacity to pray outside an abortion clinic. And one of the guys there pushed him, and he pushed back. Fascinating times, and fascinating what our government chooses to focus their resource allocation upon. Now, what I usually say, their voice is infinitely better than mine. In this case, I can actually confidently say, probably not. Now, thankfully, it's not too long, it's only about 14 seconds. And if you're just tuning in visually, or rather, no, it's like Willy Wonka there. Not that visually, audio. Wait, reverse that. So if you're only tuning in using audio, it's a white gal with black lipstick. I don't want to say it's a red flag, but it is the flag as red as her hair, which is artificially dyed as well. Like, question is, will she have that cow ring like seemingly so many women have these days? Which, again, ladies, I do not know who's telling you that this is an attractive or cool hip thing. But I could honestly say 99.999999327% of men do not find that attractive. I know a lot of women do things for themselves. I understand that. But if you are having a desire to find a mate in life, or a husband, or long-term partner, that is not helping your odds. But I partially digress. Without further ado.
Hi.
Well, here we go.
Hi there. You can either respect my trans homies, or I can identify as a fucking problem. And if I catch your bitch ass being disrespectful, your pronouns are going to be was, were. Thank you for coming, and have a nice day.
I mean, legally, that sounds like inciting violence to me. Wow, she does have, interestingly enough, pretty good teeth. She has one redeeming factor. But the amount of negatives on the pro-con sheet is so outweighed. Like I said, it's a silver lining in most things in life if you squint hard enough. But yeah, of course she has one nose ring. She has at least one. Granted, it's not the cow one, interestingly enough. I was a little thrown away by that. But yeah, it's almost like the Joker before the Joker went full Joker. And the hair is ridiculously bright orange. And of course she has a couple earrings, which, I was going to say, I don't want to say it's a red flag, but I understand having the one earring hole. But once you get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, then it's almost like the crazy scale where it's like, I'm not saying you're crazy, I'm just saying the propensity seemingly is increasing. Not always necessarily, but I'm a little concerned. But I partially digress. Maybe I'm wrong in this assessment. Maybe all the comments are going to say she's strong, beautiful, and wise. She's right. If you dare accidentally misgender someone or mispronounce someone or whatever you want to call it, you should be ended. I mean, not everyone with a modicum of intelligence or free speech, but let's dive into the comments and find out. And of course, that was first posted on TikTok. Went pretty viral, got 2.1 million views, 26,000 likes. One of the first, actually, I think, oh yeah, it's the founder of Babylon Bee. One of the first comments is from South Dylan. He says, quote, "The left thinks you're reporting on this is worse than the actual threat of violence." I got 3.8 thousand likes. I thought my like would make it 3.9 thousand. Not yet. Not today. I was not the vote for that. Paul Zuzupa says this seems to be an odd way to get people to accept you, unquote, getting 390 likes, which, yes, I mean, violence has never gained friends in life. I mean, guys might fight, you have a little brawl on the park, so to say. But in terms of like violence and threats of death and these types of videos, it's not going to win over to your cause. Whatever your cause is in life, you're not going to get there by insulting the other person and literally giving death threats. Which begs the question, why is this person doing this? Just for narcissistic ego driving and virtue signaling, perhaps? You have, what is this? L. Dave, and it's the Lisa Simpson meme, and he says this guy, and Lisa Simpson is a famous presentation meme. It says, "Dear trans community, don't tell me I have to accept you for who you are when you couldn't accept yourself who you were. Sorry, not sorry." I got 3,000 likes. Livercut Media TM says, "Nope, not doing it, not playing those aren't your games." And it's a picture that says, "I won't use someone's pronouns for the same reason I won't talk to schizophrenics and imaginary friends." I got 2.6 thousand likes. See here. One bad dude says, "Well, look at that," and says, "Colorado Springs shooter identified as non-binary. Denver shooter identified as trans. Aberdeen shooter identifies as trans. Nashville shooter identifies as trans. Philadelphia shooter identifies as trans." Now, to me, the biggest red flag, I was going to say, pun wasn't intended, but there's probably a pun there somewhere. With the Nashville shooter, for over a year, there's a manifesto, and turned out they really hated straight people, and it was only broken because of Steven Crowder and his reporting team. Someone helping with an anonymous tip. It's also as if the government keeps covering up some of the statistics. Because, for example, if you juxtapose this with, again, there are other mass shooters. If you juxtapose those instances with other instances where, it's just a straight white guy, you will know everything about that individual down to their favorite soda pop and Blink 182 song within 12 hours of the media finding out. Yet for the Nashville shooter, we didn't know anything for a year, and we only knew anything because of independent reporters. Now, that did get 1.8 thousand likes. The Junita Broderick says, "Ugly all the way to the bone," getting 2.6 thousand likes. Let's see. Husky Gen Z says, "They love fantasizing about using violence as force us to participate in their fetish." It says, "Respect, exist, or expect." Wow, so this is from, so allegedly, again, I don't know if it's doctored, but it looks like a screenshot from someone by the profile by the name of Transbinary. That's spelled right, but, well, I was going to say, we need a t-shirt. Let me know if I should come out with some swag. Hashtag grammar matters. That'd be a good t-shirt. But nevertheless, this alleged spelling of transbian positivity says, it's this picture of a flag that says, "Respect existence." And there's a picture of AR-15 that says, "Or expect resistance," getting 583 likes. Going down, you have Dave the Meme Smith, who did respond in meme form. And it's a picture of people in all black. Looks like they have, what is this, shovels or signs? And it says, "Rural America, we're coming." And it has a Rural America. It's Mr. Bean with an army helmet, pistol, and AR-15. And it says, "Rural America." And he's looking at his watch like, "We're waiting." I got 1.1 thousand likes. See here? White 3 Me says, "Get the water cannon." Oh, jeez. That's pretty powerful water cannon. Oh, whoops. There we go.
Back down.
Whoa. Yeah, that person. So someone holding a pride flag, the original pride flag, and they're in the street, and the water cannon knocks them right on their keister. Which, again, that's disgusting. Again, everyone should have the right to peace. In America, everyone should. In the world, everyone should have the right to peacefully protest. That does include waving a flag, whether we agree with it or not. Unfortunately, in the United States, depending on what flag you wave, you'll probably be arrested. That got 637 likes. Dyslexia. Probably. Let's see, scrolling down more. Oh, this is hilarious hypocrisy. I like this one. So this one is from Emergent Perspective, and it says, where did all the crazy signs come from? Give people like this government jobs. And say, it looks like an official sign. This isn't something they just printed out on an 8x11.5 piece of paper. This is above Hobby Lobby. Like they paid someone to actually do this. It says service information. It says all times. It's the trans pride flag. No, it's not the one with the arrow or the. Yeah, they're not. You need good marketing for your campaigns and ideals, and it's not very consistent. Consistency is key. That's why I haven't changed my logo in years for my company. But nevertheless, it is the gay pride flag with the additional trans all straight lines. Ironic, but it says 365 days, 24 hours a day. Respect, maintenance. No bigotry, hatred, or prejudice allowed at the station at any time. And it says, reminder, respect trans people or your pronouns will be was were. You got 579 likes. Going down more and more. This is a contrarian. Let's see here. Statements here. Mostly everyone agreeing. Here. Sarah Field says, LOL, a white liberal woman who doesn't believe in guns thinks she will win a fight against someone who knows what a woman is. Getting 196 likes, which a wise man once said every young man should have his ass kicked at least once to humble himself. I mean, sounds like maybe that should apply to, I'm not saying, sounds like everyone in life can maybe benefit by that these days. Vince Langman says, hey, Merrick Garland, this is the real domestic terrorist looks like and sounds like. It got 840 likes, which I believe Merrick Garland, some government official said the biggest, I think Biden also said, the biggest threat to America was white supremacy, which I think there's like 10 of those assholes left, pardon the French, but I don't want to say it's not a problem, but they barely exist. I don't know what on earth they do these days. They have the lowest recruitment numbers in decades. And you can't brainwash everyone. You're not going to win everyone over. I mean, there's always going to be a couple of people who don't agree with you. And that's their right. I would argue the best way to win them over, be to expose them to different ideals and debates, philosophies. And Merrick Garland. Scrolling down more and more. Jake says the clown girl is annoying. It's got a picture of a clown getting 260 likes. Let's see. Another picture compilation of the trans shooters. Got 13 likes. Here's another one, probably. I was gonna say it's kind of funny. I don't want to say you know everything about someone based on their hair color these days, but the more neon the color, the more concerned you should be, probably. Now, this comes to us thanks to Nurse Neanderthal saying there seems to be a burgeoning genre of threatening melodramatic videos by non-binary malcontents. What's driving the trend? All right, this looks like it was originally reported by Ian Miles Chung. It's got a girl with, I want to say it's not neon. Is that neon blue? Like aqua blue? And then, interestingly enough, she does have 5 pounds of piercings on her nose and ears. I mean, I'm actually pretty shocked. It's only about 17 seconds. Let's see what she has to say. No. I guess YouTube. It's going to get banned on YouTube because I just realized on the screen this individual put their pronouns as Tempest, which I thought that was a rad game from the 80s. Like one of the most famous soundtracks in video game history. And Z, them, and they, them. So maybe that's why my videos only got 2 or 3 views last week. Nevertheless, see what she has to say. Or it. No, wait, that's not one. Nevertheless.
Hi.
I spoke to Sheen and she's got like 12 piercings on the other ear.
My name is Tempest.
Her name is Tempest, which that's kind of a cool name. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, granted, it's a name of a video game. Like, just look it up. I think it was it the 80s? I believe it was a cabinet game back in the day. One of those famous games out there. So the name is Tempest, which, yeah, coming up with a good individual name is pretty rare these days for kids' names because there's so many have been done so often, so many times. I mean, I don't have much. I mean, Tempest is weird though. Almost as weird as a name called Topping, which, wait, I partially digress. I don't have much ground to stand on, or I should say, I don't have much pepperoni pizza to stand on. Something funny to that effect.
And if you don't want me to step on your toes, Move your fucking feet.
She has mastered that smug, ignorant smile. I'll give her that much. I mean, she says, if you don't want to have your feet stepped on, you have to move them. That's the lamest threat I've ever heard. That's barely a threat. And, I mean, one of the other silver linings for her is that she appears to be in moderate shape. So your feet are not in risk of being crushed because she would stand on them. And yet she thinks that's a threat. Maybe I need to go on Urban Dictionary. Maybe crushing someone's feet is now the new metaphor for kneecapping or something. I don't know. I might need to dive in there another time. But it looks like not a lot of contrarian statements in the comments here. I'm going to try to start following more people that are far left and in the middle. No, I mostly follow people in the middle on social media, but because again, it usually orders them by number of likes. Well, I mean, because again, nothing. I mean, living in an echo chamber can get pretty boring. Oh wait, did we find one? I think we did. Wait, no, we didn't. No, never mind. I was about to say I got excited. I'm like, wait, did we find a contrarian statement? But no, they were all pretty much overwhelmingly agreeing. So let me know, have you seen this anecdotally speaking in your just someone you know, or have you seen it on social media? It seems to be increasing. Maybe it's just anecdotal evidence, but it seems to be increasing on social media. But as always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting culture news: Matt Walsh roasts a Native American who says they were never conquered, and also the guy believes in gun control. Now, this is on X Twitter, of course. And this is originally from Lakota Man. Now, just a little bit of background on Mr. Lakota Man. He's a Native American who lives, what is it? He lives in Los Angeles? What does he describe himself? Not much. I think he got 531,000 followers, so it's not just a new profile created overnight. He's followed by Mark Hamill, so politically speaking, most likely a leftist. Well, spoiler alert. And this is the guy who posts a lot about hating Trump, and even more hilarious, hating guns, which he has a whole. I'm trying to find it here, but he went a whole rant about how guns are bad and no one needs an AR-15. No one needs that. I repeat this: a Native American says you don't need guns. I don't want to say they never read a history book, but Mr. Lakota Man has never read a history book. Because again, that's probably one of the prime examples of, yes, needing firearms to defend yourself from invading countries, invading armies. I mean, that's one of the primary reasons of guns throughout the eons. This person thinks, yeah, you don't need guns. Interesting. Now, let's see. This got really viral. So, let's see here. Matt says, it originally started with Matt responding to Jesse saying, why are we still allowing Indian reservations? Who benefits? Nobody, not America. Not the Indians, because the reservations are a nightmare of crime, drugs, and violence. Oh, there we go. Violence, example after example, has been proven this fact. Half conquest does not work. Either take a place or don't. Matt Walsh responded saying, exactly correct. The whole thing is a farce. These things are Stone Age societies that were conquered 150 years ago. Time to move on. Which, I mean, they're not really Stone Age. If you look from a technological perspective, like in terms of the resource allocation where they make their money, they are a technological marvel for the casinos. And again, my background is in IT. That's what I do for a living. And it is so impressive. Granted, they're not manufacturing the technology, but they're integrating the technology solutions into these casinos where they have more cameras than you can possibly fathom, connected to more. The amount of infrastructure and AI they're putting into detecting all the malicious actors when it goes to a casino, it's almost like a sci-fi novel. Now, the Lakota Man responded saying, sorry, Matt, you didn't conquer a effing thing. We natives had no natural immunity against disgusting diseases like smallpox that your dirty ancestors brought here back from Europe. We, the Lakota, banned that puppy-killing colonizer Christy Nome from our land. There's absolutely nothing you or any white trashy white man can do about it, unquote. Which again, I don't say he's racist, but yeah, calling someone white trashy, yeah. But again, that's the one kind of racist you're allowed to be in the United States these days, culturally speaking. So obviously disgusting. Now, Matt responded saying, quote, your ancestors R word, and again, I try to keep this moderately family friendly, the R word being taken advantage of someone in an adult way. So let me reset that real quick. Matt Walsh says, quote, your ancestors R-word, enslaved, tortured, and pillaged each other as a matter of course, and were conquered by people far more advanced by every quantifiable metric. Your ancestors hadn't even invented a written language, let alone any conception of basic human rights. They were living about 5,000 years behind the rest of the world, and if they hadn't been vanquished, you wouldn't have had a phone you're using to whine at me on right now, or any of the things that make your life comfortable and you enjoy. You would not want to live in a world where your ancestors won the war despite what you claim now, while basking in luxuries and comforts given to you by people you despise, unquote. Which, they also didn't have the wheel either, or advanced firearm technology, which that was kind of detrimental not to have those types of things. Again, it went viral, got 6.4 million views and 43,000 likes. Now, one of the first comments comes from John Hawkins saying, quote, every worthwhile inch of land on this entire planet has violently been taken from one group from another group, usually over and over again. We conquered people by conquering other people, and so on and so forth, since the beginning of time, unquote. They got 4.3 thousand likes, which, again, Native Americans also did that with each other. They conquered land, and it's been around since quite literally the dawn of time. Jack Posto says, wheelies people at it again, getting 3.4 thousand likes, which, someone in the comments let me know that it is. I need to go on the Urban Dictionary, maybe. Wheelies. I remember when I was a kid, the Razor scooter was the thing you would do a wheelie on. I don't suspect that's what they're talking about, though. Cooking with Salmonella says, Matt just sang with all the voices of the mountain and painting with all the colors of the wind, getting 1.7 thousand likes. Ethos says, quote, what's fascinating to me about his line of reasoning here is that he doesn't even consider the fact that Native Americans also had diseases that Europeans had no immunity to. Germ warfare didn't exist because germ theory didn't even exist yet. Unquote, getting 4.1 thousand likes. Antonio says, have the, and I don't intentionally mean to butcher this, but I'm going to have the Oglala Lakota acknowledge that the lands that they were conquered from. Oh yeah, I can do this. Let's see. Have the Oglala Lakota acknowledge the lands they conquered from Cheyenne, Crow, Kiowa, and Pawnee tribes. Unquote, getting 1.1 thousand likes. Benjamin Jor says, we pretend that Indians were harmless innocents frolicking in the Garden of Eden before the white man arrived, when actually they were just human beings doing unspeakable, horrific things to each other, like we've always done. The history of man is conquer or be conquered. Unquote, getting 1.7 thousand likes. California Kid says, people under the impression that the Indians were holding hands and having powwows and smoking peace pipes right before the white man came. Funny. They got 2.2 thousand likes. So far, Matt Walsh is being pretty much 100% vindicated. Gotta be some contrarian statements, though. It's gotta be, right? Dave Smith says, same concept. And it's a picture of the OG. The original, I believe they call it, the youth call that the original gangster of Clint Eastwood. And he says, well, this is text, I don't think he actually said it, but the text above the picture of him says, listen up, Snowflake, and let this sink in. I never owned any slaves, and you have never picked any cotton. Here ends the lesson. I don't owe you crap. Getting 3.4 thousand likes. See here? Dave the Meme Smith. Again, I sometimes can't pronounce things. I have a theory. If you take this time to subscribe, it may help my speaking ineptitudes. When I first started the show, I had barely any subscribers. Believe it or not, I spoke in a monotone, way too fast. Yes, even faster than I speak now. And I stumble over my words and mispronounce a lot of things. However, as I've gained slowly but surely more subscribers, my speaking has slowly but surely improved. So my theory is, more people that will click that button, or click the like button, that would help too, maybe, the better my speaking acumen will become. Some might argue it's just been a modicum of improvement, but I would argue an improvement nevertheless. So again, if you could kindly click that like button, subscribe, and do all those great things, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, back to my attempt at speaking the English language. Dave the Meme Smith says, quote, can't make it any more simple than that. And you have a group of natives that are taking the heart out of someone, human sacrificing someone. It says, oh, look, here comes the far right. And it's pictured in another comic. It has a bunch of missionaries who look scared and horrified. I got 7.7 thousand likes. Idaho Boat Guy simply says, LL awesome, getting 13 likes. Let's see, now we're getting fewer and fewer. We're getting a lot of comments, but these are getting between 0 and 1 like. Let's see here. Joshua Lander says, Europeans engage in the exact same practices. I know you would like to pretend we didn't, but we did, mostly for religious reasons. Finally, a contrarian statement, getting 4 likes. I had to scroll a little bit, or quite some time actually, to actually get there. So overall, completely ratioed in Matt Walsh's favor. So if anything, as some might say, he was vindicated. So again, the guy said he was in Concord, and again, I looked at his profile. The thing that blew my mind the most was, I mean, technically they were. It fascinatingly enough, it's one of the only times in history, let me know differently in the comments if you've seen any instances where Concord people got some of their land back and a lot of benefits in terms of, a lot of healthcare benefits and not paying taxes. I don't know any time in human history where that has actually happened, where Concord people got all those benefits back. If you have, let me know in the comments. I'd be fascinated to read up on any sources you have. And out of curiosity, what are your thoughts on this entire situation? As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Vivek visiting Trump in court and giving a summary speech. So I don't know how this video actually got away from me. It actually happened last week. And Vivek says, quote, and again, it's on his ex-Twitter profile, says, here's the number one question that nobody can answer. What exactly is the crime that Trump is being prosecuted for? No one has a coherent response to that question. Take a deep dive into the real answer. It looks like he had an interview that was recorded by Fox News, which somehow is still in business. I remember, I don't know, because they sold off the movie intellectual properties a while back. I have no idea how they're still in business. Do you know anyone who still tunes in to Fox News? They're basically just diet CNN at this point, especially after they fired Tucker Carlson. I mean, I have no idea how they're fiscally making a profit anymore, especially after paying Dominion voting machines, like the largest settlement in history. It was $750 million. Yeah. Let me know in the comments if you know anyone who still watches Fox News. I've used some of the segments from the business part, Fox News Business or Fox Business. I read a little bit of that because I always try to, gather as much data as possible. But yeah, let me know when's the last time I actually tuned into Fox News. Of course, Vivek is suited up as all men should, wearing a very rare thing in politics. He actually has a United States flag on his lapel. So he has that lapel pin, which in DC these days is pretty rare. Usually they have other countries' flags on their lapel. Kind of shows you their true allegiance. Without too much further ado.
Thank you. I want to thank my colleagues, Governor Burgum, Congressman Mills, and Congressman Donalds for laying out the political backdrop here. This is a politicized persecution that is nakedly apparent. What I want to do is dive a little bit deeper into what we actually learned today in that courtroom. What do we see in there? First of all, I learned a lot from being in there in person. It is one of the most depressing places I have been in my life, but it is fitting because the only thing more depressing than the environment of that courtroom is what's actually happening in there. It's straight out of a Kafka novel. The prosecution's main strategy appears to be to bore the jurors into submission. And if you look in that direction, sadly, it may appear to actually be working. Now, I would like for anybody here in the press, anybody at home, anybody in MSNBC or the media afterwards, to clearly state what exactly is the crime that Donald Trump committed. Oh, wait. We have not heard a good answer to that question. It has been vague until today. You heard Michael Cohen's testimony, after which I would say it is less clear than ever what that crime actually was. They'll say falsifying business records. Well, let's look at who did we learn falsified business records today? Yet, hour, 2 hours, felt like it could have been 7 hours, of Michael Cohen talking about how he falsified business records. Okay, so you have a guy who has been a perjurer in the past that is now saying he falsified business records. What is the crime that Donald Trump committed? Now, it appears to be what they might allege is some sort of bookkeeping error or whatever. The real bookkeeping that we need accounting of is Judge Merchan's own family member collecting millions of dollars as a Democratic operative, using the existence of this trial as a fundraising ploy for Democrats. This is unconscionable. Imagine if the same shoe fit the other foot. Imagine if it was Joe Biden that was on trial, you had a Republican judge whose son was collecting millions of dollars as a Republican operative. What would you all be saying? This would not be justice. This is injustice at its worst. So let's go even a layer deeper, right? Because let's go even a layer deeper, actually. The alleged crime here is supposedly, they try to point to this every day, that he does not actually use campaign funds, that he used personal funds. Well, let's get this straight. Suppose Donald Trump had used campaign funds to make a personal expense. They'd be going after him for that. So if they're going to get him going or they're going to get him coming, that is the best proof that this is a politicized sham. Let's go through it piece by piece. If you tell somebody to go buy you a suit and you want to look good on television because that'll affect the voters, the way voters vote for you, you know what? They prosecute politicians if they use campaign funds to buy a suit. If they say, go get a haircut, if you use campaign funds to get a haircut because you want to look good to the voters, they will actually prosecute you for using campaign funds for a personal expense. Yet the entire legal theory of this case, the whole case that Alvin Bragg has brought, depends on one premise for them to charge this as a felony, is that Donald Trump somehow should have used campaign funds to make an allegedly personal payment. Yet if he had done that, their case against him would be even stronger. This is garbage. That is the best proof that you have that if they're going to get him going or get him coming.
Reminds me of The Simpsons. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
It's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Oh,
this is
no way. I don't know what the Las Vegas odds were on that. I actually hadn't watched this all the way through prior to the show. But yeah, what are the odds? That's a good metaphor. He obviously has good taste.
a sham. This is not the United States of America. This is some third-rate banana republic. If this were happening in another country, we would be laughing at them as a sham democracy. I am ashamed as an American citizen to sit here in a courtroom watching the former leader of the free world, and let's be honest, likely next leader of the free world, sitting with the indignity in this dingy third-rate courtroom with fourth-rate prosecutors and a fifth-rate lawyer on the stand as a witness, who actually is violating attorney-client privilege left and right. Nobody's even talking about that. So this is a shame. Shame on this period in our country's history, but we will get through it and be stronger, because you know who ultimately actually cast the vote on this case? It's not just the jurors in that jury box. It's every one of you at home. It's every American who votes this November to say no to the weaponization of justice. And if you're at home, you may say, you know what, I don't agree with everything Donald Trump's ever said. You know what, I may not agree with some of his policies even though they were great policies for 4 years. But you do agree, whether you are Democrat or Republican or black or white or gay or straight or man or woman, that our justice system should be blind to politics. That regardless of whether your last name is Biden or Trump, regardless of whether you've been a politician or not, you get a fair shake in our own legal system. And when you have a prosecutor who campaigned on the pledge of going after Trump and then keeps his campaign pledge, when you have a judge...
That sounds illegal. You're campaigning saying you're going to go after someone before you have a crime? Is that what happened?
Whose kids are collecting money from Democratic operatives by fundraising off the very trial that judge is presiding over, and then telling the U.S. president that he's subject to a gag order, that he can't talk about it. That is not justice. That is a bastardization of what this country was founded on. And I'm here, and all of us are here as friends of Donald Trump, supporting him in our personal capacity, sharing our opinions. That's why we're here today. But I hope every American at home who isn't able to be in that courtroom is able to see what's actually happening there. And when you do, we will have a landslide of historic proportion this November if every American understands the injustice that's playing out in that courtroom today. So may God bless our country. I pray for our future, and let's pray for our country being stronger on the other side of this disgusting sham politician. Thank you.
Again, Elon, it's not the joke in IT is it's not a bug, it's a feature. But every time you watch a video on X Twitter, when you finish it, it immediately just restarts. Which I guess some videos are so captivating you probably would want to watch a couple times. But let's be honest, statistically speaking, that's probably not majority of videos. Now, one pretty viral got 662,000 views and 14,000 likes. So not his most viral of all time, but still pretty good for an average. Now, Kevin Fowler says, very, very easy, Vivek. You can't falsely... Is it a contrarian statement right off the bat? That'd be awesome if it was. Or opinion better. So he says, really, really easy, Vivek. You can't falsify records to conspire to violate New York State Election Law, Section 17-152. That's what Trump did in order to hide the hush money, not illegal, which was a campaign donation hidden in public, illegal. Very shallow dive. I got 1.2 thousand likes. Now, somebody named Nikki Says responded saying, a campaign contribution can only do one thing for one specific purpose. The campaign payment for an NDA can have many reasons, like embarrassment, damage reputation, and it's not a campaign contribution, and you didn't use any campaign money. Ask why Congress has an NDA fund. I'm getting 15 likes. Yeah, Valentin Gomez saying, quote, it's lawfare President Trump is being unfairly prosecuted and persecuted, unquote. Getting 123 likes. Burt Macklin. See, I was gonna say the funny, what is it, the caricature from Parks and Recreation, and he says the number one question no one can answer is why are y'all still around? Getting 655 likes. Move the Overton window left, which, I mean, it's been moved so far left it's been pushed off a cliff. They're also a fan of UBI, or Universal Basic Income, also known as communism, but nevertheless, move the Overton window left says, quote, falsification of 35 business records is in furtherance of a conspiracy to violate state election finance laws. Not very hard for Vivek, getting 183 likes. Steve says falsifying business records 34x. Did that clear it up? Getting 527 likes. Might be a rare instance where Vivek actually gets ratioed. You usually don't see that. I think the last time he got ratioed was when he critiqued social media, or more specifically the banning of TikTok, where he was very much in favor, and the comment section was very much not so much. Let's see. Diane Callahan says Trump's done, and so are you, getting 158 likes. Prinsip says, did you clown go to the same men's warehouse for your matching suits as you break the law on a technicality at the command of Donald? Got 292 likes, which there's nothing wrong with Men's Warehouse. How dare they insult that institution? I got this from Men's Warehouse like 10 years ago, and it still holds up. Look at this. Well, I got this from Men's Warehouse 10 years ago, and the suit still holds up like a champ. Now, if that isn't a great return on investment, I don't know what is, at least from a fashion perspective. But I partially digress. Going back to the comments, you have Kim saying here's hoping you fail to con the easier prey deplorables. Wouldn't that be something? The craven, disingenuous, nitwit grifter you turned out to be, getting 185 likes. Let's see here, Kim. She's followed, look at her profile. She's followed by Gavin Newsom and David Hogg, which I'll follow that. Yeah, more opinions, the better. The Dill. So this is again, what was this? Money. This looks like the first positive comment. So Dell says Donald Trump is basically being prosecuted for being Donald Trump. These people love Donald Trump when he was a Democrat that they could suck up to and get money from. Unquote. Getting 42 likes, which another big red flag to me is why were all these charges just brought up right before the election? I mean, supposedly he did this years ago, like 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago. Yet only now are the myriad of charges all being filed. Almost as if there's a scheduled, coordinated effort to keep Trump at a vast disadvantage, having him both fiscally speaking, in terms of money being thrown into his legal defense, but also physically limiting him because he has to be physically in the courtroom, so he can't be out there as campaigning as much. Is that the most unusual theory? There's probably a little water to that theory, or come to think, it's not the craziest theory. That might just be true. Let's see. Sam, which I don't know if I don't know if she makes money off these shirts, but every time I see her post, and I follow her just because, again, politically speaking, she's more left, and I want to gain more perspective, even if I don't agree with them. But she brags about making those stupid pictures with the cheese boards. But nevertheless, she simply responded with a T-shirt that says "vote," and instead of "tied," it says "vote" on the T-shirt. It says "removed orange stubborn stains." Not to brag, but she got 0 likes, and last week I got one of my videos on the YouTube got 1 like. Might have been a friend or family, but still, nevertheless, it did get 1 like, which is statistically infinitely better than her. But I partially digress. You say, let's see, do 1 or 2 more here. JD Sharp says, the better question is, why are Dan Goldman, Cory Booker, and Adam Schiff paying the judge's daughter, political consulting firm, large sums of money? Unquote. Getting 81 likes. Cash Lauren says, Donald Trump's crime is he stood up to deep state, getting 43 likes. Let's see here. E.B. Bondrores says, this stupid goes all the way bone seriously, getting 34 likes. see here. So this is, let's see here. One bad dude says it's simply election interference. They know they cannot beat him, getting 51 likes. Let's see here. I mean, it seems overwhelming. Let's see. Yeah, this might be one of the few times where he was ratioed. Looks like a majority of responses are actually critiquing Vivek as well as Trump. It'll be interesting to see where does this court case go at the end of the day. And does Donald Trump really, is he really proven guilty? Is he sent to prison? I mean, what is that future like? I mean, I'm not sure what the Las Vegas odds are, but let me know in the comments. What are your thoughts? Because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have Biden's response to Trump saying China is eating our lunch. Or as Trump would say, China is eating our lunch. They're taking it away. We need more tariffs, which actually everyone in politics is becoming more and more very favorable, interestingly enough. Trump got a lot of flack when I believe he stated is a 20 or 25% import tax, or tariff rather, on raw materials from China, such as steel and aluminum. Now, this comes to us thanks to Acyn, A-C-Y-N, which, interesting name. And he says, quote, reporter, Trump says China is eating our lunch. What's your response? And Biden says he's been feeding them a long time. And interesting enough, Biden got overwhelming positive responses, which on social media is pretty rare. And I'm trying to seek out more data to, gain more sample size. But yeah, on social media, usually he's getting ratioed, as the youth might say. And it's only about 15 seconds long. And Biden did at least suit up. He did something right here. As all men should always, obviously. Go ahead and play this quick here.
Trump said today China is eating our lunch. What do you say in response? He said China is eating our lunch. That's what Trump said today. We've been feeding it a long time. Trump said
he actually walked away on his own, unassisted. You don't see that a lot these days. I don't know if that's because Biden is insinuating that Trump has been purchasing products in China for quite a lot of time. Because a lot of the things that Trump owns in terms of some of his businesses, they buy raw materials as well as they buy their full products and they'll bring them to the U.S. and resell, which is business these days is quite, it's probably the number one mechanism for product manufacturing and resale distribution. I would blame politicians on the left and the right for making the U.S. so prohibitively difficult to manufacture things here, both from, paying wages that are artificially too high because of government minimum wage laws, as well as having a myriad of having a very litigious society, having the EPA, kneecapping businesses left and right. There are many reasons why you have things made in China. Now, Everyday Gal got 1.2 million views and 15,000 likes. One of the first responses comes from Art Candy. I don't know if she's mentally vacuous, but she spelled Candy C-A-N-D-E-E. When she describes herself as dubbed liberal pundit by Alternet, smack talker, the country is doomed if we don't communicate. Alright. A little common ground there. We definitely need more communication in the United States and less echo chambers. She says, savage, dark Brandon diss. I got 553 likes, which is that something the youth is saying, like a dark Brandon diss? Is that a thing? He's been around, he's been alive since the dawn of time. How has that not been a thing already? I've never seen a t-shirt, mug, or flag with that nomenclature. Is that the new rally? They definitely need some marketing, different vernacular this year. Let's see. I'm not trying to mispronounce this person's name. Is it EGARIOS? One by the name of, I was going to say, I'm Cuban, I only know barely in Spanish. Here, Igeros, the profile is, I'm a Democrat, always has been, always will be. I won't say they're brainwashed, but yeah, if you're not open to, changing your mind on certain topics and looking at the other side of the political aisle, yeah, I don't want to say you're a drone, but a pawn perhaps in the game of chess. Probably there's certain policies where I think Democrats have some good points, and certain policies where I think Republicans have some good choice. Though they usually both let me down so much, I usually prefer libertarian policies. But nevertheless, he also says, I'm a Biden supporter. He's the answer to saving America. DMs or webcam, and then she says, you will be blocked. That's crazy. I'll follow her. Get more data, the better. And she says Trump's China trade war screwed us royally. He and Ivanka enjoyed getting 34 Chinese trademarks shortly after he was unsanctioned, partially owned by the Chinese government ZTE. Partially unsanctioned ZTE. Trump to help his family while helping President Xi. Biden's trying to get us an edge. How's he trying to get us an edge? I mean, so Biden is coming out with new tariffs, which, again, I would argue you wouldn't need if the U.S. didn't have so many laws and policies that made us anti-competitive on a global scale. And both politicians, interesting enough, they critique Trump for doing the tariffs. I suspect they'll all praise Biden for doing the tariffs, which I understand from a country national security perspective why tariffs exist. See going here. ZTE, Chinese phone company. I mean, they're also headquartered. So I remember one of my friends covered ZTE, was it 6 or 7 years ago in IT? So they would resell and install services to ZTE, the company, and they had a pretty big presence in Texas at the time. It says Trump got, was this 34 Chinese trademarks, which, again, if you just do a trademark in another country, I don't see how that's relevant, especially if it's a brand trademark. Coca-Cola has brand trademarks in pretty much every country by now. But that did get 99 likes. Armand Hammelmouth? He says Biden one-ups DJT once again, getting 189 likes, which, as far as Trump doesn't, I know the Trump name is probably the most recognized thing, but I suppose, like on social media and maybe like swag and knickknacks, as far as DJT isn't trending more. I think that's the social media company it's called, but nevertheless, Linda hates GOP, she hates GOP thugs, which I was gonna say, good marketing. You know what she's about. She says, again, this is a recurring theme. Although a lot of people say, is this just the Chinese 5% army? But nevertheless, this alleged person says, Dark Brandon just knocked out the press and Agent Orange in one punch, getting 594 likes, which probably isn't the best metaphor since the United States government told soldiers that Agent Orange was perfectly fine and safe, and most of them got cancer and a lot of them died. Or maybe that is an apt metaphor. Let's see. Outspoken TM says, brilliant guy, we love each other, top of the line, and Trump touted China for his transparency and worked hard to defeat the coup. In 234 likes. Marty at Large says, more of this, Biden, please. And that got 298 likes. Person describes himself as a Delaware Democrat, which you could just say you're a Delaware person because, I mean, Delaware's about as blue as Chicago, I think. Hey. Leave No Doubt says, talk. That is the only way you shut them up. Which that is probably the most coherent sentence I've heard in a year from Biden. And it's a little gif of Obama doing a mic drop, getting 145 likes. Again, is this his new nickname? I've never heard this before. So Renegade Cowboy says, that's friggin' classic Dark Brandon. He's correct. Trump got many of his products made there. Bought windows and steel from them, bank loans, and somehow his daughter got trademarks from them that most folks could never get. Getting 44 likes, which I don't want to say you just need a modicum of business intelligence, but granted, it can be a pain to file paperwork with a lot of countries, a lot of government entities. But yeah, you can just go and apply for a trademark. And yeah, he says he bought windows and steel from there, which describes pretty much every business in the United States. There are a couple steel manufacturers in the US, but obviously they're going to be more expensive for a myriad of reasons than just importing Chinese steel. They got 44 likes though. Let's see. Scrolling down. 1776 says, flashback, the Chinese are eating our lunch. And Biden, looks like about 8-second clip of them. They say here.
0.7, the Chinese are eating our lunch. They're eating our lunch economically. They're investing hundreds of billions of dollars. 0.7.
Got 11 likes, which, was it 1996? What year was it when Biden actually dropped out of a campaign because it was revealed that he just plain ripped off other people's speeches? There, let me know in the comments if you remember when. Let's see. The Great Gig in the Sky says, I wasn't throwing plate, or it's a picture of Trump that says, I wasn't throwing plates, I was being tough in China. Oh, that's good. Okay, I see where they're going there. I got 95 likes. 7076 also has it's about 46 seconds. It says 2020, Biden opposed to tariffs. 2024, Biden placing tariffs on China. They got 10 likes. There's a picture of Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, which I'll never forget. Joe Biden said the smartest man he knows is Hunter Biden. I don't want to say the bar is low, but the smartest person you know is a crackhead that can barely function. Probably need to go out and meet some new people, Joe. And it's a picture of them saying the Bidens are not for sale, and it's juxtaposed with the picture of Xi Jinping, Chinese dictator, saying it's true, we already bought them. Got 13 likes. See if there's any more contrarian statement. Johnny, 2 flags of Ukraine. That is not bad, getting 2 likes. See, I don't know if are they calling him Dark Brandon ironically because he said if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. I remember that. Very few do, but some people remember that. A lot of people saying it was staged. There's another contrarian statement. Dennis Scott says staged, which, yeah, that's not out of the realm of possibility. Remember, this is the guy who has an instruction card telling him what reporters to call on, what questions they're going to ask, and how to walk in a room. Granted, I'm pretty bad at directions. If I have to drive 60 miles for a customer meeting, if it wasn't for map technology, I probably wouldn't get there on time or at all. I'd struggle to get there. But you need a card to tell you just where to go in a room and where to turn. Exactly, it's not out of the realm of possibility. There's a high propensity that this was pre-staged. So it's interesting. Now he does like tariffs. So there's a couple contrarian statements. But again, there's overwhelming positive response, which on social media we haven't seen some time. And I follow the president, or more accurately, Karine Jean-Pierre, who pretends to be the president on social media. I follow his or her profile, or her profile, who's masquerades as him. And it's usually 80 to 90% just roasting the White House page and roasting Biden page on social media, X, Twitter. And in this instance, that's overwhelming positive response. You only had a couple of negatives or detractors there. So I wonder is this a sign maybe on social media the pendulum is turning? Or I guess pendulums don't really turn. Swinging? A little Michael Scott moment there. Or maybe I'll make that a new pun or a joke or a sticker. That could be a thing, maybe. Probably not. But do you think, culturally speaking and politically speaking, the pendulum is moving where people are going to be more attracted to the idea of re-electing Biden? They're going to appreciate his economic policies that have affected the U.S. past 4 years. I mean, again, there are quite literally millions of people who do like Joe Biden and voted for him before. A couple of my friends who did, let's just say they're not doing it again this time. But let me know what your thoughts are. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Bumble ads that promoted promiscuity backfires because, well, yeah, duh. Bumble is probably one of the most famous social media apps for dating, and a great way to just kind of lose your faith in humanity when you see, oh dear God, that's what's out there. Oh dear God. A lot of nose piercings in the middle. Let's just say a lot of entitlement in America these days, though that's not really news. That's kind of just common knowledge. But nevertheless, this went pretty viral on social media. First reported by Argentina Salals, and she is text that says Bumble HQ. We don't have enough women on the app. I'd rather be alone. They'd rather be alone than deal with men. Should we teach men to be better? No, we should shame women so they come back on the app. Yes, let's make them feel bad for choosing celibacy. Great idea. Obviously that being a pun, but this is an actual billboard that they paid for. And first of all, it's not a very, statistically speaking, I don't know. Beauty is subjective for the most part. If you're just listening, it is a woman with very short hair, Elton John sunglasses, which are only appropriate on Elton John. Let's be honest. Like, they're really big red glasses. She has very short hair that's been dyed yellow-ish, which at least matches the company logo color. And I want to see she looks like she's wrapped up in a carpet. Again, beauty subjective. Some people find her beautiful. Me, not so much. But again, that's important to note because she's taking about 1/3 of the billboard, and the billboard says it's a company color, so they did something right. The billboard is mostly yellow with the font being, or the writing on it being black, which the Bumble logo is, Bumblebee, makes sense. And the text says, You know full well a vow of celibacy is not the answer. Introducing the new Bumble. That was an advertisement that they paid for. And it looks like there's one more billboard. And is a picture of someone most men will never swipe right to. So there's a woman wearing jeans. I don't say it's an F minus for fashion, but D? Yeah, D minus for. So, and she's wearing a blazer, and she has very short hair. She has a necklace. Okay. And she has a black, like, long sleeve on, and she's holding a weird purse, standing in, like, a middle of a railroad yard, which I know you want to be different and unique, and I'm guessing maybe these are real. There's probably real, no, these are probably real users on the platform. Now, in this case, perhaps this is more appropriately placed physically because this advertisement is on the wall of a subway. And after seeing this advertisement, it's so depressing and sad. Perhaps the intention was you just jump in front of the subway when the subway train is coming, which would be a time saver. I mean, you see that ad, you're like, oh dear God, that's what's out there. Oh dear God, that's terrible. You just jump in front of the subway bus and end yourself, which I don't recommend. I mean, there's obviously not. And again, if you are concerned because you have information about the Clintons, just let everyone know you have a long life ahead of you and you want to live to your fullest. You don't need to take a one-way ticket to the subway. But nevertheless, now this one, again, you have that very masculine-looking lady standing in the train yard, and the text, again, well, this is about 50-50 split between her and the text. And the text in this case says, "Thou shalt not give up on dating and become a nun." Which, again, shaming women for being conservative and shaming women for not. Nice way of saying they're whores. Promiscuous? Yeah. Now, it went pretty viral. It's got 227 views and 9.4 thousand likes. And again, from a business perspective, when it comes to women who are promiscuous and they'll just do whatever you want, there are already outlets for that. Most people call those outlets Tinder, a bar, or an alley, or a college campus. Not all the time. Obviously, there's outliers, but those women are easy to find. That's not a value add to your platform. And then shaming people that want to be celibate, which there's nothing wrong with, is personal choice, which I'd actually argue takes a little bit more strength and integrity to do, men and women, because for me, out of reasons, as a rare thing, that a lot of people do value. You shouldn't shame someone because of that personal decision. A lot of people make it for personal or religious reasons. And yeah, to shame them, again, I think Tinder is probably, again, I know one or two people have gotten married with someone that they met on Tinder, but on average, that one is more perceived as a hookup app, which, again, you could find someone long-term on the app. Who knows, maybe I will someday, but I think the odds are much lower. So if you want to promote, promiscuity and whoring around, there are already apps and outlets for that. And again, Bumble is one of the very few social media companies that is independently owned. Granted, I think it's still, what's the stock at these days? Let's see, what's the Bumble stock at? Might be a joke in and of itself. And it's about $11 a share, $11.80 per share. Past 5 years is down 82%. Past year to date, down 18%. Did increase past month by 11%. Although, last week it actually went up by 5%. Though, when you look at the articles all written about them, it's all about the company apologizing for this terrible advertisement. And again, fun little business fact, if you want to look at like the big conglomerate that owns darn near every dating entity or app outlet, just look up Match Group or the Match Group, headquartered in the great state, or some might argue the country, of Texas. They own pretty much all the apps these days when it comes to dating. And yeah, most people in the comments are agreeing with this gal who came across this information and pointing them out. Here. And then she says a few days later, people don't seem to like her ads. Oh, now I have to issue an apology and maybe donate some money. Let's donate to DV shelters and make it seem like we care. And she says, won't people see through that? Yes, they will anyway, but here's an apology. And, oh, geez Louise. Yeah. Yeah, it's a big, long apology. It literally is a cliche, like, oh yeah, we shouldn't have done that. Oh, interestingly enough, of course, they here, instead of bringing up the obvious, like, religious or personal reasons, they're also talking about they're trying to sell the dating app to, I guess, the asexual community as well, which interesting business model. I don't think, statistically speaking, that's going to make up more than 1% of your sales. Let's see here. So one of the first comments, interesting enough, is a couple people over poverty. What was it? Palestinian flag. Shows how mentally vacuous she is. Her hashtag is communist e-girl. And she's on OnlyFans, of course. And she says, how would telling women not to become nuns and celibacy is the answer be addressing the frustrations of the modern dating? Sounds like focusing on men upset they aren't getting any with us, not about finding a partner. I got 27 likes. Priya Samagod says, too late. Bumble never will be on your app again. We'll actually encourage women to never join the app. There are other options out there, and not trying to, I don't know if there's a nice way of saying this, a couple years, not trying to sell women out looking for a partner. Get 35 likes. Dr. Delfino says corporate minds are so disconnected from reality, getting 110 likes. M. Johnson said blah blah blah, sorry we got caught, getting 49 likes. Weebs says it also made me feel sad as someone who grew up with a purity culture and shame about sex, though I do want to be sexually active. Phrasing it like that seems to trigger my memories of past trauma, getting 57 likes. Fuzzy says LL, guess the mass deletion by women on there did the trick. Yes, no one. Yes, I'm one of them who deleted my account too, getting 15 likes. Let's see here. Yeah. Mostly roasting, because again, when it comes to these apps, I mean, one of the biggest issues is how do you attract women to the app? Because there's always a huge discrepancy in volume of users. It's mostly men on the apps, and there's only a couple of women out there. And yeah, that's why when it comes to the advertising stuff, these apps, usually more often than not, they're catering towards women because they know, like, just like a bar, if you get the hot women, the men will come. That's rudimentary speaking, that's usually how it pans out. And again, when it comes to this app, not only they're also moving away from the core competency, the core thing that used to make them unique, they're also moving away from, which, again, the core thing that made them unique was actually, really anti-human nature, is a thing where only if you were to match, you can only start conversation if the women were to initiate the conversation, which, that just, again, it does happen, don't get me wrong, but in terms of just your natural gut instinct, and you look at the surveys of what women want, there's a reason they just recently announced we're going to move away from that model, because, again, they literally polled women, and they were all frustrated that they had to put in the work and they had to do that. Again, people have different preferences, but now that they're moving away from the core thing that made them unique, which it was different. I'll give them that. It was a different thing to do, and it got some good advertising, but I don't think it got them the volume of users they needed. But again, to have this type of marketing debacle add insult to injury, where they're already losing users, and it's already a very competitive industry with a lot of apps out there, I gotta say, Bumble, that billboard blunder and that marketing fiasco, that's certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.